Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Thursday, the 31st of December 2020, and we're taking a brief look at gold and silver before the year ends, and before we provide our gold and silver forecast for 2021, which will be published tomorrow. So let's take a look. Earlier today, we published a video entitled Brexit Signed, Sealed and Delivered, where Brexit has now at last finally been signed, sealed, and at midnight tonight will have been fully delivered. And we discussed the implications of this with controversially Greg. But today is our brief update on gold and silver, as it is the last day of the year, and tomorrow we shall be publishing our 2021 gold and silver price forecast for the year. We shall see in a moment, unless something dramatically changes in the next few hours, how both gold and silver performed well this year, and also that the US dollar has subsided some. Now, in view of the coronavirus pandemic, plus the amount of stimulus injected into world economies, this should not be a surprise that these prices have risen. It may seem like an age ago, but it was only back in March where gold fell to $1,472 compared with $1,894 today and over $2,000 a few months back. And where silver touched $12.01 back in March and is now trading at $26.48 and was hitting $30 a few months back. And one surely must ask, where would gold and silver be today? Bearing in mind that gold was as low as $14.72 and silver as low as $12.01 back in March. Where would their prices be today if the pandemic had not occurred? Because at that time, Trump's economy was booming and equity markets hitting all-time highs. Well, both Bloomberg and Reuters were quick off the mark this morning talking about gold and silver and their performance and those of other precious metals. Each article is around 2 minutes long, so let's take a brief look at them. Bloomberg article, dated December 31st at 10:22 a.m. GMT. Headline, Gold heads for best year in a decade, with dollar on the ropes. Gold is set for the biggest annual advance in a decade after a tumultuous year, with gains this month aided by the dollar's decline to the lowest level since April 2018. Bullion hit a record in August as investors feared an unprecedented wave of stimulus by central banks and governments would lead to currency debasement and inflation. Holdings in bullion-backed exchange-traded funds set an all-time high in October. While prices ebbed as the rollout of vaccines injected optimism into financial markets, the dollar's continued weakness has helped support gold into the year-end. Looking ahead, there's little consensus from Wall Street's biggest names on bullion's direction. Morgan Stanley sees gold and other precious metals coming under pressure as financial markets normalize and longer maturity bonds yields rise. Meanwhile, HSBC Holdings plc sees gold climbing higher on continued uncertainty. Much of gold's performance next year will depend on whether the eventual return to normality is outweighed by ongoing stimulative policies. Led by Chair Jerome Powell, the US Federal Reserve has signaled that its ultra-easy monetary conditions will last throughout 2021. Efforts to pass further fiscal stimulus through the Senate have hit another roadblock. Quote, Gold's main drivers, weaker US dollar and low real interest rates, are likely to provide support even as vaccines are distributed around the world, unquote, said Vasu Menon, Executive Director, Investment Strategy at Singapore-based overseas Chinese Banking Corp. With a lower for longer Fed, it's too early to throw in the towel on gold, he said in an email. Gold was little changed at $1,894 at 10:04 a.m. in London. That's up 6.6% this month and 25% higher over 2020, poised for the biggest full-year advance since 2010. The Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index is heading for a third straight quarterly loss. Spot silver traded at $26.46 an ounce, up 48% this year. Palladium is on course for a fifth consecutive annual gain, with a rise of more than 20% in 2020, and platinum has climbed 11%. End of article. Reuters article dated December 31st, 2020. Updated at 10:30 a.m. GMT. Gold set to wrap up shiniest year since 2010. Gold prices were little change in holiday thin trade on Thursday, but the yellow metal was en route to register its best annual performance in a decade. Spot gold was almost flat at $1,893 per ounce by 10 o'clock GMT, but was up more than 24% for the year, its best since 2010. US gold futures were up 0.3% to $1,898. Quote, "With reduced market participants' activity on the last day of the year, I expect gold to move in a narrow range. Some modest support is coming from a slightly weaker US dollar and modestly lower US real rates," said UBS analyst Giovanni Stonovo. "We look for a move towards 1950 in the first quarter of 2021, with the expansionary monetary and fiscal policy pushing inflation expectations up and with US real rates falling further." Unquote. The dollar index fell to a more than 2-year trough, making gold cheaper for other currency holders. European shares fell as wider coronavirus lockdowns in Britain reduced expectations for a swift economic recovery in 2021, despite the vaccine rollout campaigns. Keeping gold's advance in check was Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's refusal for a quick Senate vote on a bill to increase US relief checks. Unprecedented stimulus measures and low interest rates to cushion economies from the impact of the pandemic this year have benefited gold, as it is seen as a hedge against inflation. Silver fell 0.6% to $26.44 per ounce, but was up more than 48% this year, its best performance since 2010. Platinum rose 0.8% to $1,074 and was up more than 10% in 2020. Palladium was up 0.4% at $2,372 and on track for a fifth straight year of gains with a 22% rise. End of article. So, as we can see, all of the precious metals have done well this year, but with varying degrees of growth, and the dollar index is languishing again below 90 at 89.6. Now, of course, many of us are wondering what is going to happen in 2021. There are conflicting reports, and as we've just seen, even major financial institutions that actually have trading arms in gold and precious metals are also uncertain as to what will happen next year. Now, part of this indecision is that no one really knows how much extra stimulus a Biden presidency will inject into the economy, or be able to inject if the Republicans gain the majority in the Senate. Though one suspects quite a lot of stimulus will still be forthcoming, and one also wonders as to what extent will that stimulus boost more risk-type assets such as equities and Bitcoin, as opposed to more risk-averse assets such as gold and silver. With Bitcoin currently only a few dollars off its all-time high of $29,000 and seems to be making new highs every couple of days, we can see what has been the star of the show this year. Well, tomorrow we shall be sharing our thoughts and forecasts with you, and we'll look back at what has happened this past year in our 2021 gold and silver price forecast. So please do not miss it. Perhaps get over any hangover you may have for the New Year's celebrations, and then tune in to Illuminati Silver. What more could one do to have an enjoyable New Year's Day? Meanwhile, we provide links below of videos we have produced this past week in case you haven't had an opportunity to watch them and which to find them quite quickly. Now, just a reminder that later today we're expecting the weekly jobless claims reports, which may prove worthy of note depending, of course, whether they are good or bad, and may set the tone for the new year. Now, finally, all of us at Illuminati Silver would like to say thank you sincerely for the support you've given us these past 12 months. It's not been an easy 12 months for anyone, myself included. And we wish each and every one of you a very happy, safe, and prosperous New Year. We hope you have found this video interesting and informative. And if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. Please ensure that you have subscribed to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of any future videos. Also, kindly visit our website at illuminatisilver.com, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe either as a free or paying member for regular email updates and offers. Disclaimer. Illuminati Silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.